we join up with Jim's Jeep Club for a trip out to the Anderson Mill out by Wickenburg. We meet up at our normal spot. Yep, Albertson's parking lot. Going to be a pretty big group today. I think we're expecting about 14 vehicles, mostly Jeeps, but a couple of different ones. Always turns into a social event here, and shortly we're on the road and headed out about 30 miles out Highway 74, almost to Wickenburg. We turn off on Castle Hot Springs Road, head north for about 2 miles to our staging area where we air down. Once everyone had their tires all situated the way they wanted them, we headed north on Old Mine Road. The trail wandered through a series of small canyons, over some small ridges. We were just really enjoying the desert. A lot of flowers, trees were nice and blooming, so we just kind of sat back and enjoyed the ride for a while and let the 16-year-old drive us through the desert. This part of the desert had definitely seen its share of mining through the years, starting back in the 1800s, across the turn of the century, and well past the Second World War. As we cruised along the trail, we could definitely pick out the old remnants of the mines, tailing piles. And even today, there's a lot of areas, especially on the left side of the trail, that are patented claims and hobby claims now. During the winter times, a lot of people come here and spend the weekends just prospecting for gold. As we climb up the hill here, off to the right, you'll see the remnants of one of the old mines. Really pretty neat place to explore if you've got the time, but the trail up there leads to a pretty tight turnaround area, and we just don't have the room to fit all 14 of us up there and get everybody turned around, so we're going to have to save that for another day. At the top of the hill, if you continued straight, we'd make our way on down to the Anderson mine, but yeah, I got something else up my sleeve today and wanted to make this more than just an in and out trail, and decided to create more of a loop. So we're going to bear to the left here and explore the trail up this way. make our way down a pretty steep hill. It drops down into the bottom of the wash, and make a right turn and come right into San Domingo Wash. This is one of the main watersheds in the area. We're not going to stay in this for very long. If we continue straight up ahead again, we'd run into the Anderson Mill, but we're going to make a left up here and see if we can't find a little place for a little bit of refreshment. Seems like a nice wide spot in the trail for us to stop for a bit. So we pull in and get out and watch as the rest of the Jeeps make their way down the hill and start gathering up. And time for a little bit of a social hour together. We always like getting out for this reason. Break time's over. We're headed on up Mitchell Wash. This wash starts to tighten up pretty quick. The rock walls on either side of us start coming in. The bottom of the wash starts getting rougher, and it's not long before we're right up on our first obstacle. Nice little rock ledge here that's a couple feet tall, and so looks like it's time for Dad to get out and coach the 16-year-old up over the edge. But just a little bit of guidance and the old Jeep, and walks over it just like it's nothing. As we come around the corner, we get to our main obstacle for the day, and it's kind of a narrow, rocky S-curve with a couple of pretty main obstacles in it, a couple of ledges, and so I figured this was a good time to just set up the camera and get some footage of the Jeeps coming through the canyon. Of course, the new Rubicons don't have any trouble with this. They walk through this with ease, even when you got a teenager behind the wheel. It was about this time that we realized we had a problem at the back of the line. Had a Jeep with a mechanical problem, and yeah, we had to go back and see what happened, and come to find out we had to push him off the trail and come back for him later. Yeah, it kind of sucks, but it happens once in a while, so what are you going to do? Seems like the theme of the day was to let the kids drive the Jeeps whenever possible, and so got another example of here, Dad helping his daughter come through the rocks, and she did a great job. Drove the Jeep most of the day and didn't have a problem. Of course, when you're driving a new Rubicon, it makes it a little easier. Even old Rusty was not going to be outdone by the Jeeps, and he walked through this like he did it every day. Not a problem at all. About this time we were getting to the end of the line of the Jeeps, and it was getting on towards lunchtime. We'd been in this obstacle for over an hour by the time we had to break down, and people waiting on one another to get through, and so it was time to pull off and have a little lunch. Lunchtime's over, and so we headed on up Mitchell Canyon, and from this point on, canyon kind of opened up a little bit and flattened out. A lot of cattle in the area, so we had to divert over to the side to go through the cattle guard to get around the fence, but otherwise it was just clean sailing for a while. So once again, we just kind of cruised and rode with it. On up the canyon ways, we pulled into a windmill with a nice big water tank for the cows and kind of a little oasis in the canyon, if you will. It was here that we needed to hold a little driver's meeting, because on up ahead is where the road or the trail got really brushy. So we wanted to make sure that everybody understood that from this point forward, you were going to get some of those Arizona pinstripes. So we split up. About 5 of them went back and took a shortcut, dropped them over to the mill. The rest of us headed on up the canyon. So from this point forward, it started to narrow up again. And so Dad took the wheel, and as the canyon got twistier and bushes got closer to the Jeep, and just continued to narrow up for a while. So things kind of started to slow down. The canyon just seemed to get narrower and narrower, and a little bit rougher and curvier all the time. And finally we got to a point where it just kind of stopped, made a hard right turn, and the trail just started climbing out of the canyon. As we topped out on the ridge, some beautiful desert vistas came into view, and so had a nice view to the south, looking back towards Phoenix, and off to the left is the Bradshaw Mountains. Of course, Wickenburg is to the right. Some great views from on top of that hill, but that's not where we're going to go today. Not enough room for all of us up there. So we're going to skirt around the edge of this, and this is really where, or the reason why, I should say, that I took over the wheel. The trail at this point got pretty tippy, and we had some areas where it felt like we were going to kind of lean too much to one side and then not be able to see over the hood. So don't adjust your TV, that's just us getting all crooked. We certainly didn't spend much time up on the ridge, and it wasn't long before the trail was dropping us back down into a wash on the other side. As we made the small curve onto the into the bottom of the wash, this is where things really started to get brushy. So we were ready for some pinstriping. Oops, got a new stripe right there. You know, sometimes when you're going down a trail, you should trust the trail and sometimes your instincts. Well, I trusted my instincts, and turns out I was wrong. I'd been over this trail only a few nights before, but in my defense, it was dark. So got turned around, little confusion. Fortunately, there wasn't all 14 of us with us, and so after a short period here, we got it all sorted out. Only a mild bit of confusion here, and we were on our way again. As we cruised down the wash, it just kept getting wider and wider and opening up more and more. And it wasn't long before we joined up with the main San Domingo wash, and off on the right side, past the site of the old Underwood homestead. A couple members of the family are resting there peacefully. We didn't stay long, and pretty soon we were headed on down the wash, and again, just kept getting wider. So this seemed like a perfect time to let the younger teenager start driving. First time at the wheel, she did a great job. It was great to get the kids out with you on trips like this. It wasn't long before we rounded a bend and we could see the rooftop of the Anderson Mill in the distance, and we rolled on up and the rest of the crowd that had taken the shortcut over the top, and sure enough they were all there waiting for us. So kind of took the time to enjoy the water running down through the creek. Kids enjoyed playing in the stream and kicking at the tadpoles. And the rest of us just kind of enjoyed plundering around the old mill. The mill was owned and operated by two brothers, and at the start of World War II, all of the mines and mills that were not essential to the war effort were ordered closed. The Anderson Mill and the mines supplying it, however, were allowed to continue. The primary operation for the mill was to obtain muscovite mica. This mica was then produced and used as electrical and heat insulation, as well as in joint compounds and paints. The mill was last operated well into 1951, but has since been closed. It's still in pretty good shape today and still pretty sturdy, and a lot of walkways and handrails and whatnot, so it makes it easy to climb on, but I don't think it's OSHA approved, so use your own caution. Well, that's about it for this trip. We had a great day, got a little warm on us, but the desert was beautiful and had a great trip. So thanks for watching, and thanks for everybody that joined us.